First kisses are always exciting and special, and they're particularly breathtaking when they're between TV couples who are meant to be together. That's especially true for the ones who take extra long to realize their destinies. Here are the most long-awaited kisses in TV history. As far as long-awaited TV kisses go, Friends' Ross Geller and Rachel Green pretty much take the cake for the title of Most Inevitable Kiss. But these two sure took their sweet time in actually making it happen. The origin of their story is a tale as old as time. Geeky high school boy sees popular high school girl and falls in love, but girl is too preoccupied with other boys to notice. Thankfully, Ross and Rachel had a second chance at love when Rachel re-entered Ross's life after her runaway bride ordeal. Though their chemistry was undeniable, their dating lives didn't align properly for a long time, as they didn't have their first kiss until well into season 2. The moment we were all waiting for from the very beginning finally happened on the episode, the one where Ross finds out. Rachel drunk dialed Ross to leave a voicemail saying that she was finally over him, and then she proceeded to forget about the incident until later. Despite her best efforts, Ross heard the voicemail, and by the end of the episode, they were locking lips at Central Perk. They had plenty of ups and downs to come in the remaining seasons, but that first moment was nonetheless a moment of sweet catharsis. Considering the fact that the very first scene of Gilmore Girls featured chemistry-filled banter between Lorelai and Luke, it was surprising they took so long to kiss and actually become a couple. Their first lip lock didn't arrive until the end of the season 4 finale. Talk about a cliffhanger! It certainly appeared that the eternally baseball cap-wearing Luke was smitten with Lorelai from the beginning, whether or not he was actually prepared to admit it to himself or the nosy townspeople of Stars Hollow. He was always there when she needed him, and he was her shoulder to cry on whenever she was down. Lorelai, however, took a little longer to get to the same emotional place. She dated multiple men and was even briefly engaged to her daughter Rory's English teacher before she finally realized that grumpy old Luke was the perfect guy for her. During the season 4 finale, during which the Dragonfly Inn held a practice weekend prior to opening, it finally happened. Despite Lorelai's ex Jason showing up and misleading Luke by claiming that he and Lorelai were back together, Luke and Lorelai pulled through and ended up sharing a romantic kiss. Kurt Hummel and Blaine Anderson's first kiss might just go down in history as one of the memorable TV kisses between two teenage characters. The two initially met at the beginning of Glee Season 2, in an episode aptly titled Never Been Kissed. Kurt was visiting Dalton Academy, where he watched Blaine and the rest of the Warblers perform a fantastic rendition of Katy Perry's Teenage Dream. They clicked immediately as Blaine encouraged Kurt to stand up for himself against a school bully. Kurt eventually transferred to Dalton, where he felt he would be better accepted, and he confessed his true feelings towards Blaine soon after. Though Kurt's feelings were unrequited at first, something happened that changed Blaine's mind later that season in the episode Original Song. Kurt sang the Beatles song Blackbird, which moved Blaine and made him realize Kurt was the guy for him. Later in the episode, Blaine said something that really solidified their budding romance.
Oh, there you are. I've been looking for you forever.
We would usually have a hard time considering Captain Hook from Peter Pan romantically suitable for anyone. Nevertheless, sparks flew between his 21st century TV version and the courageous Emma on Once Upon a Time from the minute they met, whether they wanted to admit it or not. Despite their less than positive first impression when Emma tied Hook to a tree, they had several sweet moments throughout the series. They finally locked lips to the delight of eager viewers in the 5th episode of Season 3, Good Form. During their adventure through the enchanted forest in search for Neil, Emma came to believe that Hook saved Prince Charming's life, not realizing that Charming didn't exactly tell her the whole story. After Emma, Charming, Snow, and Regina toast to Hook, Hook and Emma are left alone. And then, after a little coaxing, Emma leaned in to share a pretty hot first kiss with Once Upon a Time's resident bad boy. Mindy Lahiri and Danny Castellano started out as frenemies on the Mindy project, but they always seemed to care for each other deeply despite their competitiveness. Their friendship stabilized as the show progressed, but the underlying chemistry was always there, though they never really seemed to realize it, at least not right away. But then their relationship took a significant turn during the Season 2 episode The Desert. This finally ended the will they, won't they conundrum that had been simmering for a season and a half. Here's how it happened. After spending some time in Los Angeles, Mindy had planned to get back together with her then-boyfriend Cliff after she and Danny got home from their conference. But Danny had other plans, as he tricked her into joining him to pay his estranged dad a visit. On the way home, they experienced some turbulence on their flight. Startled, Danny ran to the back of the plane to meet Mindy and ended up confessing his feelings to her. They then locked their lips in what we would have to say is one of the most exciting on-screen airplane kisses of all time. The bumpy flight would soon be over, but they would have plenty of turbulence of a different kind to look forward to. Though Jessica Day and Nick Miller clicked pretty much right away when Jess moved into the loft shared by the main male characters on New Girl, they really took their time before their first kiss. But when it finally happened, wow! Just wow! In the Season 2 episode Cooler, the gang started a game of True American after Jess freaked out over a mysterious scratching sound. Eventually, it was time for Nick and Jess, who were in various stages of undress, to kiss, well, away from everyone else as part of the game's nonsensical rules. So they tried to smooch, but they just couldn't go through with it. At a certain point, it was getting to be just a little too much for Nick to handle.
God, Miller, just kiss me already!
No, not like this!
Later that night, the scratching sound was heard by both Jess and Nick, who investigated and found out that it was just the neighbor's dog. They later had a bit of a late-night chat, and Jess was about to go to bed, but Nick had another idea.
I'd meant something like that.
Though it was implied that Donna Paulson and Harvey Specter spent a night together years before the events of Suits, we didn't get to actually see them lock lips on our TV screens until the Season 7 mid-season finale. In the episode aptly named Donna, their colleague Lewis took the opportunity to apologize to Donna for asking personal questions about her and Harvey's history during a mock trial. He shared his feelings about his ex and told Donna that he regretted that he never shared his true feelings. This conversation seemed to trigger something in Donna because she did something very uncharacteristic soon afterwards. Though she was usually a model of professionalism around Harvey, she decided to break down the walls between them. When he came to her office to discuss his meeting with Jessica, she leaned over and kissed him. He looked pretty shocked afterwards, so she made sure to say,
"I'm sorry, Harvey. I just had to know."
While this kiss was pretty satisfying in the moment, it sadly led to some repercussions that resulted in a lot of strife for everyone involved. Boy, did How I Met Your Mother take its sweet time to give viewers the pleasure of finding out who the mother of Ted Mosby's children really was. Though clues about the mother were revealed throughout the series, we didn't actually find out who she was until the final season. It turned out that Ted met the mother, also known as Tracy, at Robin and Barney's wedding, where she was a member of the band. 3 days after the wedding, Ted took Tracy to an ill-chosen Scottish-Mexican fusion restaurant on their first date. She suggested finding a different place, so then they went for a walk. Suddenly, Tracy spotted her ex and revealed to Ted that she had turned down his proposal the day before the wedding. As she realized that she wasn't ready to start anything new, they began to walk back to her apartment. Ted looked crushed as he walked away, but then she called out to him and they finally fulfilled the promise that had been teased by the show's title for 9 seasons.
What are you doing?
Remembering this.
Come on.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine's Jason Peralta and Amy Santiago started out as rivals at work, but their competitiveness eventually blossomed into a genuine friendship, then a sweet romance, and ultimately a marriage that, as of Season 7, is still going strong. They weren't always on the same page, though. They eventually came to the realization that they had undeniable feelings for each other, but Jake was the first to admit the truth to himself. By the Season 2 finale, they were contemplating a relationship, but were acting cautiously because they were colleagues first and foremost. Then the entire team at the precinct was put through an emotional roller coaster when their beloved Captain Holt had to leave quite suddenly. This provided the perfect backdrop for Jake and Amy to put their professional rivalry and banter aside and cement their relationship. So they shared a beautiful kiss and began dating for real soon after. Though Ben Wyatt and Leslie Knope started sizzling chemistry from their first episode together, it took them quite a while to actually share a kiss, mostly for professional reasons. At least they provided Parks and Recreation viewers with plenty of comedic relief in the lead-up. By episode 14 of Season 3, entitled Road Trip, Ben and Leslie were struggling to keep their flirtation at bay. It was clear to them and everyone watching that they wanted to start a relationship, but they held back because of their colleague Chris Traeger's devastating rule that a government superior and a subordinate couldn't be romantically involved. So, knowing that they wouldn't be able to help themselves if they were together constantly, they decided to stay away from each other as much as possible. But that plan proved to be quite difficult when Chris sent them on a road trip trip to Indianapolis together. They overcame many obstacles during the excursion before finally giving in to what they knew was undeniable. Their kiss during that episode was just the beginning of a wonderful relationship that would last throughout the rest of the series. Though Dawson's Creek's title character preferred to focus his attention on girl next door Jen, it was pretty clear that he and his best friend Joey had feelings for each other as well. But Joey spent the first 2 seasons trying to move on and find herself a new beau. In season 3, she began to date Pacey, much to Dawson's dismay. This led to the infamous scene from which the hilarious crying Dawson meme originated. Pacey and Joey's first kiss happened when Joey least expected it in episode 17, Cinderella Story, after a huge argument between the two of them. Though sweet, it was impulsive at its very core, and it led to significant fallout. Dawson, Joey, and Pacey's relationships took quite a hit because of that one little kiss. But viewers weren't too upset, as the plot lines that followed only made the show that much more addictive. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about your favorite TV couples are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.